And so what she did, she took all the tires and she took them up to the top of McKinley Drive in the middle of the field, and she set them on fire. And the black smoke that rose from those tires, and the firemen came, and they told her she couldn't do that.
Too late.
And she told them, they're gonna either blow my house up or these tires are gonna go. And so the tires are going, and they said yes, ma'am, and they let it burn up. But but we had fun, you know. And,
Okay.
but everybody, we were boys, and we did every little thing that every other little boy did. You know, but like I said, we enjoyed each other. It's a little different back then than it is now. You know, nowadays we'd get into a fight with each other, and we'd say that I'm gonna kill you and this kind of thing, and the next 15 minutes we were playing again. Today they tell you they're gonna kill you, you better go get up under the bed. But Dr. Bradford Brown, and he lived on Fairview as well. He lived a block away, so he was part of the gang, and Frankie Lane and Frankie Howell, and just like I say, it was an array of guys that had.
Okay. And then you started school, you mentioned already, at East Athens.
East Athens from 3rd grade to 7th grade.
Okay. Who was your 3rd grade teacher?
3rd grade teacher was Miss Eliza Stanton.
Okay.
And then 4th grade was Miss Helen Terrell. She was a she was Terrell. She's the aunt of Keith Hurd.
Okay.
5th grade was Miss Ruby Brown. 6th grade was Miss Frances McBride.
Okay.
And 7th grade was Anna Fair. And that was the years.
So describe the environment in that school. What was
it
that
was
like?
Family. It was caring. You know, teachers did what they needed to do to help you get where you needed to be. If that meant even to buying clothes. I mean, I can remember Miss Ruby Brown was my stepfather's sister-in-law, and a young man who I won't name needed a white shirt. She went out and bought him a white shirt because we were having a maypole dance, and he needed a white shirt to be part of the uniform with everybody else. So she went and got that shirt. We did things differently back then too. We did a little thing called devotion.
Okay.
We did,
tell us about
the flag.
Yeah, talk about devotion.
Yeah, you'd have a little say. They have a little saying, and then we do the pledge to the flag, and we would have prayer, and then we started our day. And then the day went well. But we aren't allowed to do things like that anymore. But that was part of just a normal day. You started your day out with the devotion. You did, let's say they would have somebody read a little saying, and then they do the pledge, and then they have a prayer, and then school went on. Okay.
I want you to talk about the May Day you mentioned already, but first tell me about that. What did that building look like when you started? To describe that school.
It was a big brick. It was a brick structure.
Okay.
I mean, it was probably at that time the best that we had, because this was in the 50s.
Okay.
And so it was. They did add on to it a little bit later on. They added a second section. Today, the Miriam Moore Center is the wing the part that they're in now is the newer part of what East Athens used to be. There used to be another whole part of the building that was taken down.
Okay.
And which is the parking lot now. And I started out in that original building. Okay. And it had classrooms, it had a cafeteria, had a stage where we performed. Okay. Did a lot of performing. That was one of the things that back in that day teachers worked on a lot. We did different performances. We had Easter programs and things that now we would not talk about having in school because we might offend someone. But we had, like I said, and we did competitions that we competed with other schools throughout the state. We had oratorical contests. We had chorale contests. We even have a little small band, so we would go to these different events, and usually we came back with first place ribbons.
Okay.
Because you didn't go haphazardly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even today I think about when I watch these kids graduate from high school and they're up there at the podium making their speeches, reading their paper. We weren't allowed to do that
Mm-hmm.
when we got to high school. We had to know the speech by heart.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about the general conduct of the students.
General conduct of students were very good, really,
Mhm.
because you knew that you could get a spanking.
Mm-hmm.
Because they didn't, you know, back then corporal
Because you
punishment.
taught later, so you can give me
Yeah.
some comparison about this. Yeah.
Corporal punishment was there, and it was there when I, you know, in fact as a teacher had
Mhm.
administered corporal punishment to
Mhm.
a few students,
Mhm.
but you know, and the irony of it today is when I see them, that's one of the first things they want to talk about, and they think that was the most fun thing like somebody to spank you. But you know, in fact, I was talking to a young man the other day. He's about 6'5" now. But that was one of the things. That's why he used to take care of me and straighten me out. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, if that's what he feels, did.
Okay.
And bless him.
Okay. You mentioned May Day dance.
Yes.
What
Yeah.
was that like?
Yeah, the performance there. You know, again, we were taught.
Tell me about May Day.
May Day was, you know, it was basically a day that we would have performances by every class,
Okay.
and then that was the platting of the maypole.
Okay.
And what it was, you know, we had to learn how to basically create a ribbon, how you would plait, like plaiting hair.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what you had to do with that maypole. They had actually built a special pole just for that particular event, and then they would have different ribbons on it, and it was a boy-girl thing,
Okay.
which made it interesting because back then.
Tell me how it was a boy-girl thing.
Boy-girls,
They had
you
different
didn't do a
roles?
whole lot of, you know, the teachers basically said, the boys can play these kind of games and do these kind of
Okay,
things.
I got
Girls
you.
can do these
I
kind of
got you.
things and
Right,
do this
okay,
kind of thing.
okay.
But, you know, and we followed, for the most part, that rule.
Mm-hmm.
And but then like this would have where the boys and the girls both had to you know do the dance around the
Okay.
maypole.
Okay.
So it was kind of a social activity, so
Uh-huh.
to speak, as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of getting socializing in a more formal way.
Okay. And so you went through what grade at East Athens?
From 3rd grade to 7th grade.
To 7th grade.
Then in the 8th grade, I was at Lyons
Okay.
School
Tell me
for
about-
1 year.
What was that year like?
That was an interesting year because it was at Lyons is right next to the airport
Mm-hmm.
and the rock quarry,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess that's part of.
So they bus you there?
Oh yeah, we were bus.
Okay,
Yeah, we were
okay.
bus there. See, at East Athens, I
Used
could
to
walk.
cross the street, right.
Basically, I could walk across the
Back
street,
here,
so
huh?
I should never be late for school.
Yeah.
But yeah, we would catch the bus,
Okay.
and it wasn't like the bus catching today.
Uh-huh.
They almost come to everybody's door.
Mm-hmm.
We all gathered at different corners. We had
Mhm.
bus stops,
Okay.
but we go to that bus stop,
Uh-huh.
and then we got on the bus.
Okay.
And mom and dad, there were no moms or dads out there to
Mhm.
supervise you while you were waiting on the bus.
Okay. How many grades were at Lyons? You said you went from
Lyons Lyons went from 1st grade to 8th grade,
Oh, okay.
but
okay.
it was just that one 8th grade. Cause the other 8th grade was at Bernie Harris High School, but
Okay.
like well then at the time.
Okay, okay.
So the east side of town went
To Lyons,
to
for
Lyons
1 year.
for 1 year,
Okay.
and then the other the west side was over here
Uh-huh.
at Bernie Harris.
Who was
At
in
that
charge at Lyons when you was out there?
time.
Who were some of the teachers and who were the principal?
The principal was Mr. Ferris Johnson,
Okay. Okay.
and the assistant principal was Mr. Howard B. Stroud.
All right.
And my teacher there was a gentleman, my homeroom teacher was by the name of Mr. Will Amos.
Okay.
And he taught for a number of years. He and his wife both taught here in Clark County.
Uh-huh.
She taught, I think she finished her career at Fowler Drive.
Okay.
But that was, we basically learned pretty much how to become high school students in a sense,
Okay.
because you had different teachers and different classes, and well, pretty much when you were in elementary school, you were one teacher all day long, whereas with this, you were moving from one teacher to the next teacher. Had different events, athletic events, then kind of started to stick out because I had a track team.
Okay.
We went out and competed against other little middle schools,
Okay.
it would be considered today.
Mm-hmm.
School, and then some of them had kids that were a little bit older than we were, but we did the best we could with what they
Okay.
had.
Okay. Anything else about Lowndes that sticks
Like I said,
out?
and it was interesting because sometimes we'd have to deal with the, the rock quarry.
Okay.
Say, and every so often they blast,
Mm-hmm.
and you would even hear rocks hitting the top of the building.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It was, that was an interesting thing. And like I said again, the airport was out there as well.
Okay.
We were right next to the airport, so periodically you have planes taking off and landing.
Okay. So you finished up the 8th grade there, and then for the 9th
Finished
grade.
8th grade, 9th through 12th grade came to at the beginning Athens High in industrial,
Mm-hmm. And where was that at that time?
and that was what is currently the HTF was building.
Okay.
And it ended up being Bernie Harris High School by the time I graduated.
Okay.
So I can say I went to Athens High Industrial and to Bernie Harris High
Okay.
School, and
Mhm.
there are very few of them that have that distinction.
Okay. Okay. So tell me about Athens High and Industrial
Athens High
in the 9th
Industrial
grade. What
in
do you
the
remember
ninth
about the 9th grade?
Ninth grade, again, like I say, it was for me. It was kind of a reunion in a sense
Mhm.
of those people that I had started out at West Broad with.
Okay.
We were back together.
Back
again.
together. Okay.
And so when I came, it was less of a, sometimes how you feel a little alienated because you don't know these folks.
Mm-hmm.
But like I say, having been with them before, now here we are back together again. The transition for me was a lot easier than it was for some others. Learning, how to be the little kid when we first started in the 9th grade.
Mm-hmm.
But like I say again,
Who was the principal?
the principal was Mr. Homer T. Edwards.
Mr. Edwards. Okay.
And he was there for all 4 years that
Mhm.
we were there.
Some of the teachers were.
My homeroom teacher, the first year, my home teacher first year was Mr. Willard Arthur Taylor,
Okay.
who happens, he's passed away, but I married his niece.
Okay. Okay.
But at the time we didn't know anything about all
Uh-huh.
that. But he was very well respected, very well read.
Mhm.
He taught history in that area, and he was a very accomplished pianist.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was. He played. In fact, he played at the
Mhm.
church I attended for one of our choirs.
Mhm.
But he was a very talented man.
What activities did you participate in high school?
In high
Because
school,
basically you was in high school.
yeah, in high school.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't really compete in a whole lot of
Mhm.
activities.
Mhm.
I was here to get an education.
Okay.
That was first and foremost with me.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And people, other than being in
Favorite?
PE,
Do you have a favorite subject then, or some teachers that?
well,
really-
math was one of my favorites. Was one of my favorite subjects.
Okay.
And so I had Mr. Roberts,
Okay.
who was his wife was my second grade teacher.
Okay.
So I'm kind of bumping into folk, because most of these people were professionals, and even husband and wives were, a lot of times, both were teachers.
Right.
And so he was very talented man. And then I also had Mr. Robert Allen, who taught geometry,
Okay.
and that was always fun. And of course, one of my favorite teachers
Really?
in math was Miss Alice Jewel McAdams.
Miss McAdams.
I had her for 3 years.
Really? Okay.
We were a special group again. That
Mhm.
special group we had.
Mhm.
One group, Miss Hawks, our English teacher, had us for 3 years,
Okay.
and she had us for math for 3 years.
Mhm.
Fortunately or unfortunately, somehow I go grades high enough that I was on the honor society
Okay.
for the 4 years that I was here
Mhm.
at Bernie Harris.
Okay. Who were some of your classmates? Just some of them. I
Just
yeah.
some of them.
Yeah, I know you can't name
I
all.
can go on and on and on.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Platt was one that I think, a lot of she's one of the Heritage Committee
Right.
members,
Mhm.
and Alberta Maddox Lay,
Mhm.
and she is very, we have a very active class now.
Okay.
You know, when we celebrate.
Mm-hmm.
Larry Hudson he played football. His
Mhm.
brother R.C. Hudson,
Mhm.
Ricky Hudson.
Okay.
They were two brothers and cousins.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Hill, Harry Jones. These were talented singers.
Mm-hmm.
Philip Riddle. But they were very talented individuals.
Right.
And a lot of them, like Clay Brown, played football.
Mm-hmm.
Lottie Taylor, excellent. She still is she writes poems and poetry now even.
Okay.
And a lot of times you'll get out there. I just got a Christmas card from her, and it always has that little special note in there that she does. And anytime that we have any kind of special tribute, she's always working up something different to do that she uses in her writings.
Okay. Anything else you remember about Bernie Harris and the name change?
Well, that was interesting. That was Andrew Taylor was one of the spokespersons that went down to the board to request the name change,
Okay.
because basically they looked at it and said we weren't